And welcome back to the Cabbage Patch. I'm Dad.
I'm Tom, and I'm Gus.
And what do we do today?
We play Look Down There.
Space Marine Adventures, Rise of the Orks. We played Space Hulk and Space Marine Adventures, Labyrinth of the Necron before. And this is sort of in the same vein. So this has got the same characters as is in Space Hulk. They're the Terminator Space Marines. It's set in the Warhammer 40k universe. Lots of bad things are happening there. Lots of bad guys are trying to do bad things, and even the good guys aren't necessarily all that good sometimes. So destroy anything that's not normal. So in this game, it's fully cooperative. We're playing as this squad of 5 Terminator Space Marines, and the models are pretty awesome. And actually look better than the metal models that I had from when I played Warhammer years and years ago.
Yes, these Rise of Death Warriors. Those in plastic look better than the racist Death Warriors in metal.
The racist Death Warriors in metal. That's absolutely a good observation. They are kind of xenophobic, aren't they? So our goal in this game is to use our Marines to protect these shield generators here from a horde of marauding orcs.
Who don't really put up much of a fight. They don't have any range attacks when they die.
Yeah, which is not like the Warhammer 40k, but the orcs are represented by these tokens, and they've got various power abilities on the token itself. But the miniatures for the Space Marines are these wonderful little 3D plastic ones that I had to assemble, and they do look really cool. Maybe at one point we'll do a comparison between the different Space Marine models that I have.
And just overall, all of the figures and stuff that we use for the
Absolutely. So, the way the game works is the Space Marines take their... first you deploy the Orks. The way you do that is you have a difficulty card for the game you're playing, and we were playing on the beginner difficulty, the novice difficulty, and it says Orks per wave 5. So we've got a pool of these orc tokens over here off to the side. And that's what we have to kill in order to win. We have to kill every orc over there in order to win the game.
It honestly kind of seems like not a lot of orcs in supposedly a rating of an entire city.
Well, the difficulties get more difficult, right?
They get
So
more orcs.
the warrior difficulty is 7 orcs per wave. And in addition to the 20 boys, which are the little ones, the 5 knobs, which are the middle-sized ones, there's another 5 commandos and 7 burner boys. And the burner boys are even harder to kill. So as you scale up in difficulty in the game, it gets more and more complicated. And then there is the veteran difficulty and the commander difficulty. Veteran is 8 per. And in addition to the burner boys, you also have meganobs, rather. And then last, but not least, is the commander difficulty, where you have basically all the tokens in the game, including the war boss, the pain boy, 2 mechs, and the weird boy. And all those things do all sorts of funky stuff. So we played on the beginner difficulty because it was our first game.
That sounds like a rank for the orcs.
It does. The orcs are pretty weird characters in the Warhammer 40k. But anyway, so our job was to protect these shield generators and not die.
What about Warhammer 40k?
Well, there's no such thing. So we'll talk about Warhammer 40k at some other time, right? So our job was to protect these shield generators and not die. If we lost 1, 2, 3 Marines, we would have lost the game. If we lost all of our shield generators, we would have lost the game. That said, we lost 2 shield generators, but we didn't have any of our Marines die. And there's a table that sort of describes what the victory sounds like. And our victory was the Orks have been utterly vanquished. You have won an unblemished victory. And the void shields protecting the city they damaged were maintained. The castles are saved. So we won. It's a little bit of dice rolling. Each orc counter has a power on it. It's marked in red. If you can see that on the thing, they're allowed to move. They cause a number of damage, and then they have a power. And what you do is you roll a single 6-sided dice, and if you get the power or better, you kill the orc. And there's some rules about line of sight. right? There's these black squares on here that mean you can't see through them. And if you can barely see through them, then the orcs are a little tougher. So if an orc normally takes a 3 or better to kill, and you can't quite see him, he now takes a 4 or better to kill. And there are different special rules for each of the Space Marines. Some of the Space Marines have indirect weapons, and they can launch missiles over the walls, so it's not that big a deal if they're unobstructed. Others get to attack several times, but only close up. Others get to attack several times, but only in a straight line. The flamethrower guy can only shoot people in a straight line, but only up to 5 squares away, 5 hexes away. So each Marine has special powers. They're marked on this card. If you ever take as much damage, if you ever take 6 points of damage, actually each Marine is slightly different health-wise. Your brother Magnus has 7 hit points. Everyone else has 6, which is cool.
I wonder why Magnus, the flamethrower dude, has more hit points than the dude who's supposed to be getting all the inside masses of orcs.
Great question, but the dude, he's got a shield that reduces the damage that he takes, so it's balanced. If he had more hit points and the shield, it might be too unbalanced. So that's it. I mean, it's a pretty simple game. It took us about 35 minutes to play. What did you like? Yes.
I really liked the models.
The models are really cool. The models are very cool. They are Warhammer 40k models are things of intricacy. They're pretty cool looking. What else would you like?
I like the ability. I like it when I just like killing all the orcs.
Killing the orcs. So it's very action-packed game. That's true. I like the models. I like it's sort of a tower defense game, right? So you're trying to run from tower to tower to prevent the orcs from getting to it. I thought that was a pretty cool take on a Space Marine game. It was in Space Hulk, which is my favorite game ever, really. You aren't necessarily trying to defend a position, although some maps have you doing that. This gave a little bit of a different take to it. I liked that it was more directly interesting than Necrons, because Necrons were, I don't know, Necrons didn't seem as deep. So I think this is the better of the two Space Marine adventure games, and I like that. I like the models. I like the map. The map's really cool, although it doesn't change. So I'm not sure what the replay value is. I guess as you up the difficulty, that's what it comes in. Is there something you didn't like?
Not necessarily.
Oh, you guys, something you didn't like? Your line of sight. You didn't like having to get line of sight on your bad guy. Yeah. So you're supposed to use these little green rulers to see if you can see a bad guy. And that was sometimes challenging because you couldn't always see a bad guy. It's like exactly like you center of a hex to the center of another hex, and if it crosses through one of these black spaces or one of these generator spaces, you can't see it. But you still have to get line of sight on part of it, and then you don't have to worry about their bonuses for that. So the line of sight system is challenging, certainly. All right. So we played a couple of Space Marine games. We played Necrons, which is also Space Marine Adventures. We played Space Hulk.
With all the Gene Stealers.
With all the Gene Stealers. We haven't played Death Angel, although we haven't. We should do that sometime. And this. I think this is number 2 in those 3 games. What do you? Yeah, number 2? Number 2? Mm-hmm. All right, so I guess...
I like Space Hulk because it was like an actual video game. Like, it had levels. Like, different levels, like a video game.
Space... Alright, we'll talk about that in a second. That's not how Space Hulk was the one with the modular map.
Oh.
And we were trying to get to the end.
Am I talking about a different...
You're talking about Necron. Necrons actually had levels where you go down to the next level and try to defeat the next thing.
Forget I said that.
Okay. Did you like Necron better than this?
I mean, Necron was good, but Space Hulk was better.
I think Space Hulk was more exciting. This was almost as exciting as Space Hulk, so I think they did a pretty good job with this.
I like playing the aliens in Space Wolf more than playing the Space Marines. I like playing Space Marines in this because, well, one is the only thing you can like, and two, or homicide.
Or Commissar. You know, I suppose we could play a versus version where one person was the Orks and was placing them in the same way that we were playing Space Wolf. But that's for a different video. All right, well, I think that sums it up. We liked it. Are you ready to give it a score?
Yeah.
What score are you going to give it? How many cabbages?
2.
2 cabbages?
3.
3. That's pretty high praise. I'm going to give it a solid 2. I could probably be convinced to give it a 3, but I'm going to give it a 2. Because it's not Space Hulk, but it's almost Space Hulk.
Like, whenever you give it like a 1 or 2, when I give it a 3, I always think it's like, really?
I'm going to give it at least a 2. So that's a 7 cabbage game. I think it's a pretty fun game. Well, we'll play it on the next higher difficulty next time. Awesome. Well, in that case, I think we're ready to do the outro. There weren't any rules that were... Actually, one rule that we do need to look up, I forgot about, is can you shoot through another Marine? And I don't know the answer to that. We played it as if you could, so when you watch the playthrough, if we did that wrong, sorry. But other than that, it's an easy enough game to learn. Took 30 minutes to play the novice edition. I imagine the higher difficulty levels will take longer, but that would be for another day. Awesome. All right, ready to do the outro? Are we done? Anything else before we go?
I don't fully know what the original Warhammer 40K game is like. I think it's like a D&D thing.
It's a tabletop war game, and maybe we'll bring the books down for another video because we've got a lot of them, so we can talk about that at some point if you like. Sound cool? All right. Well, I think on that note, Gus, you're up.
Subscribe back to the bell, shall we? Leave a comment if you wish. Enter your cabbages in our episode. Because we're orcs, not cabbages. You may be green, but don't make that mistake.
Yeah, go faster red is the thing you're supposed to say.
Go faster, Red!
There you go. All right. Well, thanks so much.